What is up, y'all? Kim here. I was looking at making a Phase 3 dungeon grinding guide. After some further investigation, it really seems like the best move is just going to be doing potentially Nomer into Cath to probably 44 or so, and then going over to ZF. So I've decided to just do a ZF specific guide. If you want some more information about the other dungeons and Cath and Arms, you can find my old video here. Please check that out. Also, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. I'm actually quitting my job. My last day is today, and I have a new job starting in about 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm planning on doing some live streams, and I'll put whatever something somewhere. If you're interested, please consider following. I'll probably start streaming maybe on Wednesday before or Thursday of the actual release, and I'll do my best to just I'm not working, right? So I'll do my best to just kind of stream and have fun with you guys if you guys want to join in. Otherwise, this video is specifically talking about that ZF and the mobs within it. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. First off, real quick, I just want to mention that these are found in order that you're going to find them in the dungeon. So these early ones you're going to find at the beginning of the dungeon, and the ones on the next slide you'll find later in the dungeon. So let's go ahead and get right in. We've got the SanFury Acolyte. These guys have a mana burn. Ideally, that means you want to tank them next to a wall just to give your healer the opportunity to move out of LOS if they do become targeted with these mana burns. I don't think this will be too much of a concern because of the damage that groups are bringing these days, but I did want to mention it. You can't have a mana burn and not mention it, all right? Like, that's criminal. Then we got the SanFury Shadowcaster. They have a Shadow Bolt. That's why they're on this list, so they will need to be LOS'd as well for different reasons, as our prior one here. Then we have the SanFury Zealot. This will enrage similar to the Myrmidon that we saw out of SM Armory and SM Cath. Essentially, you'll want to say burst for these if you do have a larger group of them when they start to enrage and kill them quickly. Similar to what we saw in Arm and Cath, like I said, you will die quickly as a tank or as anyone, frankly, if you don't have good burst on these and you have too many of them. They do a ton of damage when they're enraged. Now the SanFury Witch Doctor, this has a healing ward, so your standard healing totem on the ground, also a lava sprout. I think you can switch over and target these, but if you're doing larger pulls, my recollection of ZF is basically these guys drop a lot of totems. There are a lot of totems you're going to find on the ground in ZF, especially if you're doing larger pulls. So I would consider maybe making a macro for these if you'd like, but also you can just move them out of it, right? Just continue to bring them away from it, and that way you don't have to have people switching and adjusting. I think it'll be fine. I think with the damage we have these days, with the additional runes and gear and power levels, I think we should be able to damage through this and nuke through it without too much issue, but keep that in mind. Then we have the SanFury Blood Drinker. These guys have the Blood Leech ability, which I can't confirm it does 20 specifically and heals for 60, but it does essentially drain life from targets nearby or enemies nearby, which would be you. So stay out of melee range because it'll just give this guy an additional heal. Again, I think with the power levels that we have now within the game, I think pretty much everything hopefully should just melt. Maybe I'm just have too many mage veins flowing through me right now, but I really think that a good amount of these abilities are just going to be mitigated if you have any bit of gear, but if you don't, definitely pay very close attention to these. Now for our second and last slide, we've got the SanFury Soul Eater. These guys I don't think are very threatening. They have a drain that steals mana and health as well as a heal, but again, with the power levels, don't see this really being an issue. Just wanted to mention them because they have a heal. Then we've got the SanFury Shadow Hunters. I think this is going to be the real big problem and annoyance for a lot of groups. They have a Hex, which is a 10-second, unable to cast spells, unable to attack. This is definitely either a curse or a magic effect. I want to say it's magic, even though you think Hex and you think curse. But anyway, definitely have a strategy for handling this. it's instant, so there's no cast time. So, Paladin healers probably are pretty good just for that reason by themselves. Um, Grounding Totem may be useful as well. I don't think Tremor is impacting transformations, just charms and stuff. So, anyway, this one's going to be a bit of an issue. If you could keep him lined, like line of sight from your healer, so your healer doesn't get hexed, but still stay in line of sight yourself, I think that is really the ideal situation. But beyond that, I would say just don't pull a shitload of mobs if you have this guy in your pool. I mean, let's just be smart, okay? So I would say that, and then near the end we've got our SanFury Guardians. These guys are defending the second to last boss, or the non-mallet last boss, whatever you want to say. There's 4 of these. They have Thrash, which is why I put them on here. Essentially, if you don't know, I mentioned it in my last video, but Thrash does 2 extra attacks, like a Wind Fury basically. So they're doing 3 attacks at once. So if you're under leveled, right, you come here right at 44 and you're pushing. This is near the end. I think these guys are 46 or 47. Be careful, right? If you're level 44 or 45, you can get crushed and sent out the game pretty quickly from these. So be ready for that. And then we've got our standard like basilisks, which are the sand crawlers and abominations. They have a petrify, which, to be honest, you really should just expect that every creature with this similar type of model on the right here has a petrify. Just a tip, because 9 times out of 10 they will. So that's really all I wanted to cover as far as the mobs within ZF. Also, I want to talk through the map and generally what you're going to find in ZF for those of you maybe with a little less experience or who need a refresher. Now in ZF, you're going to start here. This is the opening gate, and you're just going to have mobs lined up. So you're going to go through here. There'll be some casters, those shadow casters I talked about in this area. There's a group of like 3 here, and you'll just find guys off to the side that you'll be killing, like here, here, and here. Once you get to this section here, you're going to have basically a fountain with about 3 or 4 mobs around it that I believe are mostly casters. You'll also have a pat of 3 or 4 that I usually is running like around this area. So keep that in mind. They may meet up with you at the same time. But you will want to travel this direction, assuming everything stays normal, and you're going to want to go this way. Now, there is a group of mobs here that is normally skipped in a lot of situations, right? Just running it for the loot. But since we're doing this for XP, I think you'll probably clear this as well. There's probably, I don't know, 5 mobs here. And then you'll move into this room, and this room is your scarab room. You'll have one like mini boss that I don't think he really does anything. And you'll have the scarabs, which have like a little disease. Nothing really too concerning here. Just keep in mind the scarabs do have a decent amount of health, and just don't pull a ton if you don't actually have a ton of AoE in your group. I know I'm not talking about SoD here, but I've definitely seen like hardcore groups even wipe to this because they just like pulled a lot thinking they had AoE, but in reality they did not. So anyway, just be a little careful in this room. After that, you'll go this direction, and you'll find some basilisks and some random hodgepodge of trolls that like to drop totems just like everywhere else in the dungeon. You'll clear those out, and then there's a boss in here. He has a basilisk friend. He summons, I think, a few basilisks, but relatively easy fight. Just kill him, move on. He's got some good loot. Then we move past here. You'll go back to the scarab room, and then you'll go down here, clear this out, and this will put you in the graveyard. Now, the graveyard is where a lot of the mages are doing their, massive AoE pulls. And there is a safe spot. You can jump on like the little fountain things if things go bad, and that can reset the mobs basically. So that's an option. But essentially, you're going to want to click on these graves, which will give you either loot or spawn X amount of mobs. I think it's like a 1 to 3 type situation. So you'll want to, ideally, if you have the correct group, you're going to want to grab as many as you can and potentially have, I don't know, different people pull from different areas, meet in the middle, maybe a Frost Nova if you have a mage, and then consecrate with a paladin to hold threat. Whatever your exact strategy is, but this is a great place to get a ton of XP. on each of your runs. You should not be skipping these grave sites on here. There's also a boss here, a caster boss that has a good staff as well as good gloves. So keep that in mind. And then we'll move through here. There'll be trolls all along here. There's also a pat with a basilisk, and it's either 1 or 2 shadow hunters. Now, as a reminder, those are the ones that are doing hex. So you definitely will see hex in here. I think there are maybe some shadow hunters at the front, but not a lot. But most of them are in this kind of vicinity. Anyway, let me take that off. So you'll clear up to here, and then you'll go up this temple, pyramid, whatever you want to call it. There you're going to find an executioner. You'll kill him. He has a mortal strike, I believe, so just keep that in mind. But you'll kill him. He'll drop a key for one of your members. You'll use that to unlock. Sorry about my throat. You'll use that to unlock the jail cells here, and that'll start a timed-ish escort event where a lot of trolls will spawn on the bottom here in this vicinity, and they'll start running up the temple at you. You'll just kill them as they come, and you can pull some extra if you'd like. At that point, you'll fight the mobs, the 4 or 5 guys that came out of the jail cells, and talk to the goblin. He'll run over and blow up this door for you, which will unlock the second to last boss. So he'll blow that up for you. You'll kill this boss, and then you'll move up into this vicinity. This area is where you're going to find those snakes that I talked about that have thrash. So keep those in mind. That's where these will come in. And then there's a boss up here, or I guess 2 bosses up here. They're relatively easy. Just kill them. And then if you have the mallet, and maybe even if you don't have the mallet, mostly because we're talking about a XP run here, right? So anyway, you'll kill that boss. You'll come over here. You'll start clearing. Now, please note there is a group of about 5 or 6 mobs in this circle here, just to your right as you're exiting towards this pool of water in Gozrilla. So pull these separately. Be careful with these. I believe they do have a shadow hunter in them as well, and there is a pat of a shadow hunter like I talked about earlier that's kind of wandering this way. But anyway, if you're going for XP and trying to kill everything, you probably just want to do a circle here and just kill all of this. And then the gong that you're going to want to hit with the mallet is here. You'll ring that. It'll spawn Gozrilla in this pool, and he'll start walking outwards. And his main ability is that he does a knock-up that shoots people into the air. You have 2 options if you want to take no damage from that. One, you can stand in the water he comes out of, because when you get shot up in the air, you're going to land in the water. Didn't land on the ground, no fall damage. Also, if you go back to the original tunnel area here, I realize this is kind of messy. Hopefully it helps that I'm talking like as I'm going over it, but there's a overpass, like an arch or whatever. Essentially, you can stand under that, and if he shoots you straight up, you'll just hit the top of the arch and come down. That way you won't take any fall damage as well. So after you kill him, then you can basically, if you want, come through here and clear all these mobs. There is a rare, I believe, that is in this area. And then, yeah, you'll just go out towards the front and reset at that point, and that will be your full clear of ZF. And that's all I wanted to cover. Hopefully you feel more comfortable in ZF now. Good luck to everyone in Phase 3. I will be streaming a Feral Druid as a reminder, so if you guys are interested in that, come by and check out the stream. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around. Have a good one. K, I'm out.